During the week, we were talking with Vera Toomey from County Cork, who was threatening to walk from Cork to Dublin to highlight the fact that her daughter Ava, age 6, who had terrible epilepsy, she has loads of seizures happening every single hour, but the symptoms were alleviated to a huge extent by taking a particular type of medicine which was based on medicinal cannabis. And Tom Curran joins us, and Tom, you've got a particular interest in this.
Yes, I got involved in it because of Mary, and I won't go into the details of Mary because I think probably the listeners know of her, Mary Fleming.
Yeah, and for people who don't, your wife, Mary Fleming, brought a case on the Right to Die case, of course, and, yes. But she had MS, and it was felt in your family anyway to help Mary alleviate her symptoms, that cannabis was a great aid.
Yes, apart from the other symptoms like almost total paralysis, the two symptoms that Mary really suffered from was constant neurological pain, and physical pain, and also spasms which are very similar to spasms that people with epilepsy get. And the prescription medication that Mary was on for both of these symptoms had got to the point where it just wasn't working. The dose couldn't be increased, particularly for the spasms. It would be dangerous to increase the dose for the spasms. And on the pain medication side of things, if the dose was increased, it made Mary comatose. So she lost any quality of life that she had. And we were aware that cannabis was being used in other parts of the world for the treatment of these specific symptoms, and we decided to try it. And it worked. Initially, I bought it on the street, unfortunately, because that was the only way of getting it, and then realising that it was going to work, I grew it for Mary, and grew it for a long number of years. And by far, it was the best medication. And I have absolutely no doubt, and I stand by this, that it kept Mary alive. That it gave her a quality of life that she was prepared to tolerate, because if her quality of life had deteriorated, she was very determined that she was going to call the shots from that. And it gave her a quality of life that allowed her to continue, and allowed her to continue comfortably. The speed at which it worked, the long-term, I suppose, pain management, and to see it in action was, to me, incredible. And that's how I got involved, realising that for Mary, it was by far the best medicine you can get. It had absolutely no side effects. The ordinary medication, or what it was, prescription medication that she was taking over 30 tablets a day, half of which were to combat the side effects of some of the other medications. There were no side effects from the cannabis. And after Mary dying, I made it public that this is what we were doing. I didn't do it at the time because of the fact that we didn't want to take it away. I didn't want it to be known that we were growing in case the guards arrived and took it all away. And it was on the basis that it was so useful for her that I didn't. But after Mary died, I made it public, and I tell other people about it. I help other people in the same situations. And Vera is a good example of that.
Yeah, so the campaign is around medicinal cannabis, which takes the illegal bit out of it, I suppose, or takes what people are worried about as regards cannabis out of the plant, and they use another part of the plant to make this medicine. Is that it?
That's not quite true. Just on a brief, I suppose, chemistry lesson on cannabis. Cannabis being a natural product, there are literally hundreds of active ingredients in it. But the two active ingredients that are most useful is a thing called CBD and THC. CBD is perfectly legal. There is absolutely no legal restriction on the use of CBD. And there are CBD oils made. It's the THC, which has the psychoactive properties, that is illegal. And the best form of cannabis medicines is a combination of both of them. A combination, depending on what's been treated, of a mix of CBD and THC. So to provide that here is illegal. The CBD oil, which Vera was using, which helps an awful lot, but it's not the ultimate. And it's for the ultimate, it's the full cannabis oil. And oil is where these ingredients are extracted from it. The oil is of absolutely no value in the recreational side of cannabis, so there's no reason. It's so easy to regulate because of that, Nobody wants it other than for medicinal purposes. So there's absolutely no reason why it shouldn't be available to people like Ava.
So the name cannabis, do you think, just puts legislators off?
It does, I suppose. Unfortunately, for the lay person who's never come across it as a medicine, I wouldn't be aware of its medicinal properties, they think of it purely as a recreational drug and as a dangerous drug, and lumped in with all of the others, things like heroin and cocaine and that sort of thing. But it's not in that class at all. In fact, it's a perfectly safe drug, even recreationally. I mean, now, I have no interest in the decriminalisation of cannabis. I only want it for medical use. But even in the recreational side of it, nobody has ever died from taking.
But the jury's out, and that's a separate issue.
It is, of course, yes.
It's you felt forced to grow it illegally, basically, and to use it illegally for the benefit of Mary. You say there was positive results. What Vera Toomey for her daughter Ava is looking for is the derivative from it, made into a medicine that is legal elsewhere.
It's legal in 11 countries in Europe. It's legal in Australia, it's legal in Canada, it's legal in 26 states of America. So the movement is growing. The realisation that this is not the dangerous drug that people think it is there. And we should really follow suit. There's a very good report that if anybody has any doubts, produced for the UK Parliament, who are debating this very thing at the moment, called the Barnes Report. And if anybody has any doubts of its medicinal properties and also the way to regulate it, this Barnes report is must reading. And I think all of our legislators here should read it before the bill comes before them on the 16th of December.
Well, Vera is in contact with Minister for Health Simon Harris. Of course, he lives in this constituency, and you would expect that he would know of you too.
I've met him on this subject as well.
And
he seems very favourable. In fact, with the meeting with Vera, he even wanted to accelerate the government's attitude towards it by asking for a report from, I can't remember the name because boards change so often, but what used to be called the Medicines Board. And a report that would normally take maybe 12 months. He's asked for that by January. So to me, he is very much in favour and very sincere. I think Simon is a sincere person anyway, but he's very sincere about this and he realises the value of it. And I think he certainly will help.
What are the possible side effects and the downside of saying it's legitimate now? Medicinal cannabis is available, maybe by prescription, in your pharmacy. Any downsides?
Well, that's all we're asking for. We're not asking for it to be freely available in shops or even the possibility of people being able to grow it for themselves. What we're suggesting is that it can be completely regulated, that it be issued on prescription, that a doctor has to be involved in determining whether a person will benefit from it or not. Now, there's a big education process involved in that, as with any other drug or any other medicine that comes on the market. But what we're asking for is that it be controlled completely, complete regulation, the same as any other medicine that's out there. As I say, we're not asking for it to people allowed to grow it for themselves, to be regulated, to be provided on prescription from pharmacies, and that gets over any of the fear that people have that there may be a link between, or that it could be, I suppose, channeled for recreational use. It won't be.
And compare the effects of it, say, paracetamol. If you have a certain amount of that, you can kill yourself.
Yes.
Codeine, you can get hooked on it.
Yep.
Do you think it's safer than those two?
Oh, it is. It's impossible. And even from the recreational people will tell you this. It's impossible to overdose on cannabis. You cannot take enough of it to kill you or to do any serious damage. So it's far safer than a lot of the things that you can buy in your local garage, or supermarket or that sort of thing. A lot of the prescription drugs that are out there, and even things that are used in childbirth, are based on heroin. In fact, they are heroin. There's no doubt about that. And the medical profession will admit that people are given heroin. That's controlled. It goes through the whole process of being prescribed, being given across the counter from a pharmacy. This is a far less dangerous product than an awful lot of the ones that are out there already. Not less dangerous, it is not dangerous.
So you might have seen the primetime programme where there were some doctors, and obviously for a report on primetime that they had to get the opposing view, there were some doctors who were against this.
one of the problems and one of the things, in fact, some of the statistics that were given on that programme are completely inaccurate. One of the fears that people have is that there's a link between it and psychotic episodes. That if a person has a tendency towards psychosis, that there is a possibility that this will exacerbate that. And that is true. But the number of people that are in that situation, and that is a problem with the recreational side of it, not with the medicinal side of it, because the whole prescription thing, the giving of the medication, the application of the medication, is all controlled by the medical profession. So that won't happen. But one of the statistics that was given there was that it's 14%. In fact, it's 0.4% of people who take cannabis that could possibly, not even do, but could possibly. And it's only people who have a tendency towards psychotic episodes anyway.
Okay. Tom Curran, Wicklow resident, thank you very much indeed for coming in, Tom, and discussing this. No doubt we're going to hear more about it. We'll wait what Minister Harris says about this particular report that he is expecting by January to see about it. And we wish, of course, Vera Toomey and her daughter Ava all the very best in the meantime. Thanks for coming in, Tom.
Thank
Good
you.
morning to you. Pete the Vet and John Spillane with us.